Templeton Women's Charitable Club. Welcome.
Very nice. Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, we're glad to have you. So the Templeton Women's Charitable Club.
Yes.
Okay, so tell us a little bit of. Actually, you know what? Let's go back a little further than that.
Okay.
So let's tell us about Sarah. Tell us about Sarah. Tell us about Sarah in the Templeton community.
Okay. Gosh. Well, I am born and raised here in the county.
Okay.
My family is from Morro Bay originally. My dad was the history teacher at Morro Bay High for 35 years. He also coached football there for a little while in the late 60s. So, but I grew up going to mission school, mission prep, graduated from mission, and was gone for about 10 years after high school, and went to college out of state and lived abroad and kind of sowed my oats, and then realized that San Luis Obispo County is amazing and beautiful, and raising a family with other family around you is a really important thing. So I came back, and my husband and I bought a house here in Templeton in 2009. So we moved to the community from San Luis Obispo to Templeton in 2009, and we've been here ever since. I ran the Templeton Chamber of Commerce from 2013 to 2018. And I've also served 3 terms on the Templeton Area Advisory Group, which is kind of like the planning commission for Templeton. It's a body that helps the Board of Supervisors decide how development works in our small town. So that was a pleasure to serve the community in both of those capacities. And it allowed me to meet a lot of really amazing people and feel like I'm making a difference in my community. Since then, COVID kind of shut everything down, and we decided to move our family to Hawaii for about 8 months during COVID.
Fun.
So it was fun. We were on the south part of Maui, and we rented our house out in Templeton on Airbnb, which turned out to be very popular for people wanting to get out of the city.
Right. Coming to this area and experiencing the North County and
getting out of the city. They'd stay and they'd work from home, and so we had steady renters through the whole time while we rented a place over there. It was great. It was a really good experience. But I have to tell you, as beautiful as Maui is, and it is incredibly beautiful, especially during COVID, tourists there.
Right.
I mean, literally walking on Kaanapali Beach, there was one other family on a blanket, and our dog is running off leash. Wow. On Kaanapali Beach, which is usually like packed,
Wow.
So that's experiences that we'll never, ever see again. I hope actually.
Right.
Go back to that. But it was really beautiful and really special and very bonding for our family. But I have to tell you, it really sharpened my appreciation and awareness for how beautiful and wonderful Templeton is. Mm-hmm. And we wanted to come back. We always intended to come back, but I didn't think I'd want to. And we did. We missed it. We missed the seasons, and we missed the people, and we missed the small town atmosphere. And so it's been really nice. We came back in April of 2021. So we've been back ever since. And about a year ago, I started my own business, and I have Templeton Vacation Rentals. So it's a boutique vacation rental firm. All my properties are in the North County. I have about a dozen that I manage personally, and I get to work with people that are experiencing the Central Coast, sometimes for the first time, or sometimes they come down here once a month to wine taste. But either way, they're always so appreciative of our hospitality here, and they love Templeton, and it's really fun. It kind of renews my love of this area every time I have an interaction with one of my guests that is just gushing with how beautiful it is here. And I'm like,
super
you're
fun.
Right. I am really lucky to live here. So
we live in a wonderful, like I said, the North County is it's like this piece of heaven that has been placed here, and fortunately we get to live here. And we get to experience this. Why everybody else in California is, it's like the glowing area in California that, we don't want everybody to come here, but it really is. The North County is really awesome.
And I think it's that we have a obligation isn't the right word, but it's important that we share it with people in a way that's responsible and doesn't infringe on people who live here and their experience. But the fact that we're able to share this area with people all over the world, is pretty special too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So tell me about the Templeton Women's Charitable Club.
Yeah. So this is a group that I'm actually fairly recently a member of. I've been aware of their club for many years. I spoke at it when I was working at the chamber. I spoke to the club a few times, so I've been aware of the club. It is one of the oldest clubs of its kind in all of California. It was started in 1913 here in Templeton.
Wow.
The origins of it, from my understanding, obviously it's a long time ago, at the time, and it isn't all that much different now, but primarily Templeton was an agricultural community, and most of the men, the husbands, were working, in agriculture all day. And so the women, who were primarily stay-at-home moms at that time, they wanted to come together and have a time to meet socially and also give back to the community. That was the premise of the club in 1913 when it started. So that's what they started doing, meeting once a month for a potluck lunch. And they would raise money through either through the dues or through certain fundraisers. And then they would decide how they wanted to distribute that money and keeping it all here in the community. So that really the purpose of it, social interaction for women in town and giving back to the community in a meaningful way. And it has not changed since 1913.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't necessarily, you don't have to be a women in business. Doesn't have to be any, it's just a women's club.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, it definitely has some traditional roots. We haven't had a man want to join yet, but I mean, I guess we probably would be open to that. We definitely have men come, sometimes spouses come, or we'll have guest speakers that are men, but it's just it's a very welcoming, wonderful community. And the thing that's really fun about it is the diversity of the members. We have members that are as young as, I'd say Summer Ramos is probably our youngest member. And I want to say she's in her early 30s, late 20s. Got it.
Right. Summer, the Templeton High School cheerleading coach. Yeah, absolutely.
She's a doll. I'd say she's probably our youngest member if I had to go out on a limb, up to a woman who's in her late 80s. And most of the members are older. And about before COVID, probably about 5 or 6 years ago, Christy Giacinto, who's a local realtor, I probably just butchered her last name, which I'm used to.
Right.
She recognized a need that this club was getting older and it was at risk of kind of extinction, to be honest. Even though the membership was dwindling, and thank God she did it when she did, because COVID probably would have been the death knell for that club. She recognized that this was a really important part of our community. So she's personally joined the club, started recruiting some of her friends and colleagues that were more middle working age women. And now the club has a really diverse, we're probably up over 35 members. And I'd say half of them are closer to my age than the 80-year-olds. But it's really nice to get the perspective of these women who've been, many of them are lifelong Templeton residents, and they have incredible stories about this town and some of the things, what people in town have overcome and just kind of how things used to be. So
great. The women's club, that's right across from the Presbyterian Church, or
it's on Main Street.
Right.
It's the building that's right in front of the skate park.
Okay.
So you'll see there's a sign on it that says Templeton Women's Club.
Okay.
And that building was actually built by the club with donated funds from members of the club in the
quite a few years ago.
Yeah, maybe late 70s, early 80s, I want to say.
Okay.
They built that clubhouse. Then they basically donated it to the CSD, to our kind of governing organization in our town, for use by the community. So it was, again, a huge charitable donation. I mean, you can imagine a piece of property on Main Street.
Right.
And they basically just said, we built this, but we don't want to own it. This is my understanding. And they donated it back to the CSD, and now it's available for any organizations to use at a very affordable rate. Our club, part of that stipulation of donating it was that we could use it for free for the life of our club. Yeah, for whatever we needed it for. But it is available for the community to rent out. There's been church services in there. There's been clothing sales. There's been it's a polling place.
Right.
So it's where a lot of the town comes to vote. Every time we have an election, it has a full commercial kitchen. There's parking. There's ADA bathrooms. There's chairs and tables. It's a great little room.
So can the
serves a great
commercial
purpose.
kitchen be rented as well?
I believe so. I'm not sure if they rent it out just to people that are prepping food in there.
Right.
But it's great for if you're having an event, you could have a caterer come in and they could prepare the meal right there.
Interesting.
So yeah, it's a great space. It's really nice.
So tell me about some of the contributions that the group has had in the community.
Yeah. So they have given to a number of organizations that a lot of people in Templeton are familiar with. They've made donations to Must Charities, which is based in Templeton as well, and supports children and families in the North County that are experiencing poverty. They have given to the Templeton Library, which is opening this week.
Soon,
which is amazing after 40 years of fundraising and planning.
Always seeing that we're almost there.
We're almost there.
And they finally got there.
I mean, that is a huge, huge accomplishment.
Yeah.
And so they have given to that effort. And they are also the sponsor of 2 $2,500 scholarships for Templeton seniors every year. And they've been doing that for years. And it's one of the biggest individual scholarships that's given out by a local organization. There's some bigger scholarships from some corporations and things, but for a local nonprofit, we're one of the bigger scholarships that's given out every year to two Templeton seniors they're extraordinary. So
interesting.
So really proud of that. We've given to a lot of organizations, and I would welcome organizations that are needing funds to reach out to us.
Awesome.
And we are ourselves a 501c3, so we will take donations. And we promise to be good stewards of where the money goes.
So what does the club have in store for 2023?
We're evaluating different ideas for fundraising. We've done a tea many years in a row now. Fundraising, it's a fundraising drive, but it's also kind of a membership drive. It's an opportunity for our members to bring guests and introduce them to the club and potentially get new members. So we're talking about some different ways to maybe kind of change that up a little bit, maybe make it a little more of a community event. Having those teas is always a really fun way to get multi-generational families together, and doing something in the spring. There's a few organizations that do something similar actually at this time at the holiday season. Mm-hmm. So we're thinking about, maybe there's an opportunity to expand that tea a bit to the community, where you're getting grandmas bringing grandchildren and everybody gets a chance to dress up and wear a fun hat and just do something a little different, a little out of the ordinary. So,
awesome. So tell me a little bit about how the group gets together. So you guys get together for the group meetings and stuff like that, but I'm assuming that you guys get together as well for some other events, some ladies' nights outs, and some socials. And...
Yeah. I mean, mostly it's just the monthly luncheon. I think that there's definitely opportunity for that. Like I said, that about half the group is elderly, mm-hmm. and so they like their traditional meeting, and so we kind of tread lightly with change, I would say, in this group.
Kind of just keep
we
the
want to
path.
respect. This is a group that has been working just fine for over 100 years, and so sometimes you don't mess with that.
Sure.
But there's always opportunity for improvement and for growth, and definitely for reaching out to new members, because that's really important in any group. You have to keep your pipeline going.
Sure.
So so we meet for lunch on the first Wednesday of every month at the clubhouse there. The wonderful thing about this group is, and this, especially with my experience working in the chamber, sometimes it was cost prohibitive for people to be a part of the chamber events or join the chamber. And that was always a challenge. This group, there is no barrier to entry, unless you're a guy, I guess. Maybe there's a little bit. But if you're a woman in the community, it's the dues are $30 a year.
Oh, wow.
And even at that, if someone says, I have a financial hardship, some other group member will probably step up and sponsor their dues. So
right.
And then the luncheons are actually all kind of a potluck situation. And this is how they've done it for years. So a couple different members adopt a month, and they bring the food for that month, do a full-on potluck, which we just did it here in December, where everybody brings a little something. We put it out on the table. So there's no cost to the monthly luncheon. You just show up and the food is there, and it's just kind of a little labor of love, and everybody comes together and provides it. So there's no cost for that. And every month we have a speaker or some sort of a presentation. The meeting that we just had this week we had the Templeton Advanced Theater class come, and they did kind of a little holiday pageant, and they sang and they played piano and they did a little Christmas skit, and it was so lovely. And then last month we had, oh man, what is her first name? It's Bob's mother-in-law.
Okay.
And Connie, I want to say, I think Connie Loftus is her name. And Connie grew up in Carrizo Plain.
Mm-hmm.
And then she ended up her married life living on the Santa Margarita Ranch. So incredible history. And she's very involved in the Pastoral's history, the Historical Society.
Okay.
So she was our speaker, and it was an amazing story of what this county was like in the 50s, 60s, 70s, just the ranching families on the Carrizo Plain and what their life was like. I thought it was, as the daughter of a history teacher, I thought it was fascinating.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, we live in like this weird, awesome place that there's so many different walks of life that live among us.
Right.
So,
yeah. And it's easy to get caught up in sort of this modern crazy world we're living in, but to hear the story of someone who grew up in a farmhouse with outdoor plumbing and that agriculture was their whole life.
Right.
It was really interesting. So.
Awesome. Well, Sarah, tell us how we get in touch with you. Tell us how they can.
So we are
out.
actively recruiting new members, women of all walks of life, all ages, whether you work in the home, outside the home, you are welcome here. It meets the first Wednesday of every month at 11:30 a.m. at the clubhouse. If someone wants to just show up, you can also go to the website, templetonwomensclub.org, and there'll be a schedule of meetings there and kind of let you know what speakers we have coming. You're welcome to reach out to me or reach out to the show here and get my contact information. I'd be happy to sponsor a guest. It's just a really nice, diverse group of women that are all supportive of each other. And more importantly, their whole focus is to give back to the community. So
awesome.
It's great.
Sarah, thanks for coming on the show.
It was great.
Really
It was my
appreciate it.
pleasure.
Yeah. Telling us all about the women's club down here in Templeton.
Yep.
Awesome. Thanks again.
Yeah, thank you.
There you have it, guys. Thanks for tuning in to What's Up North County and learning all about the Templeton Women's Charitable Club right here in Templeton that you guys can be a part of. Thanks again, guys, and we will see you next time.